In today's episode of the podcast, we are thinking about celebration and you being youier and your mental health. I am Elle Edwards, your host with coaching, training and this podcast to help you embrace your inner weirdo so you can make Jesus CEO in your life and business. And as we explore this stuff together, if you feel like you would like to talk about this more deeply, get some actual personalized one-on-one attention on this stuff, I would invite you to go to faithandbusinessplayground.com/talk to arrange a time for the two of us to talk. In the meantime, let's get straight on to today's episode. Now, all this week we have been thinking about celebration, and it would be remiss of me not to have an episode where we talk about the importance of celebration as it relates to your mental health, because I am a big mental health advocate. Like I'm not traditionally mentally health trained. I'm not a counsellor. I can tell you all the things that I'm not. However, what would be the point of that? That would be a really boring episode, but let's not go down. I'm not this and I'm not that, but I am this. I really am very passionate about looking after our mental health. And yes, I've had some people that are very close to me struggle with anxiety. And so having dealt with it firsthand, albeit as the caregiver, I've learned very acutely how our brains and our physical bodies and our spirit and our soul, it's all connected, and so it's really important to me as part of this work that we do together that we do address your mental health. We do look after your well-being, and we are going to have a whole week on well-being next week. So I'm not going to go completely down that route yet. But what I want to touch on in today's episode is why celebration is really helpful from a mental health perspective. And it does tie in with what we talked about on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, you'll remember I talked about the reticular activating system, how you can train your brain by celebrating. You can train your brain to help you have more of the same. Those things that are brilliant, you celebrate them, you tell your brain, this is important to me, and you get more of the same or similar. It's also really important as well because I would reflect for a moment, not too long, we don't want you to get stuck there, but if you reflect for a moment on those times when things aren't feeling great, all of us, it's really easy to spiral downward, and we think this happens and then that happens, and then it almost feels like one thing after another. Now, I do maintain that some of that is probably related to the way that our brains filter stuff. And so, when we spiral negatively downwards, when we start to think, oh, this thing has gone wrong, and then, oh, what else is going to go wrong? I always do this. That negative self-talk, when you do that, your brain goes, oh, okay, that's important to it. All right, let's give some more examples, which sounds kind of like really messed up. And it is really messed up, but it's just the way that we're wired. And so, for example, this silly little example, say you wake up, make yourself a cup of coffee, and then you spill it, and like, oh dear, I've spilt my coffee. There we go, it's going to be a rubbish day today, right? And then suddenly that happens, and then a little bit later on, something else happens. See, I knew it was going to be a rubbish day, told you so. And then you get to your desk, and maybe your computer's playing up, and yet another example. And suddenly all you can see are examples of how awful and messed up the day is. And it just starts to feel overwhelming and frustrating. Instead, think of it the other way. And we're going to use the coffee example again. So if instead you spill your coffee and you go, oops-a-daisy, oh, what a silly old butterfingers. Silly old butterbeans. Where did that come from? If you spill your coffee and go, oops, what a silly old butterfingers I am. The day can only get better from here. It's going to be a great day. Let's see what brilliant stuff can happen. It changes the lens that you see the day through. And then your brain will start to filter in a good thing. The actual things that happen in your day don't change, but the way that you approach them and the way that your brain filters them into your consciousness changes, and it impacts your day in a way that is incredible. It's just startling and astonishing to me. So this is why celebration is really important, because every time you pause in your day to celebrate something going really well, you're lifting, you're spiraling upwards. And so you're signaling to yourself, and you're showing yourself another example of why this is a great day, or another example of why you're doing such a great job, another example of how you're really showing up and going for it. And so and that happens every time you celebrate. And we actually, you'll have heard me, if you've listened along before, you'll have heard me talk about the neuroplasticity. It's a word I always struggle to say. A long time ago, the scientists thought that our brains, by the time we were adults, that was it. Our brains are what they are. You basically, that's it. Tough. What they've discovered in the last 5 to 10 years, that's not actually true. Our brains are really quite plastic, not literally, but that's how they describe it. They're malleable, they're moldable, and so by celebrating those wins, you're laying down new pathways within your brain. You are literally changing the way that your brain is wired. We describe it, if you think about like the roads around the town where you live. And some of the roads, you've got the big A roads they're called A roads here in the UK. If you're in another part of the world, they might be called something different. But you get these roads that have got lots of traffic. And so those roads are wider and they have lots of traffic, compared with like a little sort of side street that maybe doesn't get looked after very well, and it's full of potholes and it's a bit bumpy, compared with what used to be the road that led up to our church until about 5 years ago. Literally a dirt track. It's not a dirt track anymore. It's a beautiful road now. Really, really bumpy. It was like just bump city. It was crazy. Your brain is the same. The things that you focus on, and by celebrating, you're laying down those pathways and making those pathways stronger. And by making those pathways stronger, you make it easier to actually fire off those synapses and those neurons and those parts of your brain that trigger those responses. So this celebration piece, I really don't want you to take it lightly. And I almost feel like I'm hitting you over the head with this. I know we've talked about this all week, but it's important. It makes the day feel delightful. You get the delight and the joy of actually having that wonderful moment, but you're also laying down new pathways in your brain to make it easier for you the next time you want to have something positive happen in your day. And the state of your brain is really important. It's really important to me that you understand just how important that is. You can impact your day for positive or negative by what goes on between your ears. Your brain's incredible. So powerful. But the wonderful thing is, like I say, it's not fixed. It's not like, oh, well, there we are. You're stuck with it. You have got the ability to actually alter the course. I think somebody once told me that we literally rebuild every single cell in our body over the course of 8 years. So every 8 years, you are a brand new person. Literally, you are not the same. It doesn't happen all at once. Obviously, that would be weird. You're like into the floor like a puddle of cells and then rebuild. No, it happens throughout the course of day by day, week by week, and month by month. But the person you are today is a completely different person on a cellular level to the person you were 8 years ago. Every 8 years, you get renewed in whole, like physically speaking. And so never underestimate the power of your brain, the difference that you can make by practicing this art of celebration. In today's episode, we've done that. In tomorrow's episode, oops, I need another coffee. Tomorrow's episode, we're going to give you some concrete examples. We're also going to be thinking about celebration and then reflection as well. So the next step in this cycle, if you heard Monday's episode, you'll have heard me describe this as a cycle. The next step after the celebration is then reflection. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit more tomorrow and giving you a few examples of some of the things that you can do to celebrate. And they're going to be I'm not going to spend ages on that because, like I said in Monday's episode, how you choose to celebrate is a really personal thing and will come down to what you enjoy. But I'm going to just give you a few little concrete examples of what you can do. But that's tomorrow. If you're not already subscribed, do please subscribe. faithandbusinessplayground.com/listen. There's a thing there where you can choose a button where you can choose the podcasting app that you like to listen to the podcast on. And if you enjoy this podcast, do please consider leaving a review. There's a link for that on that page as well. faithandbusinessplayground.com/listen. I'll be back tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.